Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today, and over the next few days, kind of here and there, depending on the news, I want to answer some questions around vocabulary. So what are the top terms, the top things that you guys come across that you're like, well, what does that really mean, and can someone break it down for you? Well, that person is me, so we're going to break down some of these. Now, today we're going to discuss the Form 10-K. That is the official name for it, but we just call it 10-K for short. And it's a really powerful tool or reference point for investing decisions in my view. Now, the Form 10-K is very similar to what is called the annual report. If you go back to my video on how to research stocks, I give you a real simple, easy to follow 3-step process. And in that process, one of the last ones was, if you got time, go to the company's website and download their annual report. Kind of peruse through the news that they have on the website, but in the annual report, you'll find out the financials, what they're trying to do, so on and so forth. Now, that is the cute version of what's going on with the company compared to the 10-K. 10-K is usually more detailed, and this is filed with the SEC. It is required. Every year, you have to put in a 10-K to say, look, this is how we are financially, this is what we think, here are some developments and things that we could be worried about, and things that we are looking to do in the future. And it is very, very detailed. Now, the difference between the two, again, is more detail, less pictures, less, really nice graphics. So it is much easier on the eyes if you read the annual report or peruse through the annual report. There aren't many people that sit there and read it cover to cover unless you get paid to do so. But the 10-K, that's like the real nitty gritty stuff that I would implore you to go and look at from time to time, especially when it's a new company that you may not be as familiar with. So for example, I actually pulled up Ford's 10-K because it is a new holding that I have, a company that I think can continue to grow. Now, at the time I bought it, it ain't necessarily growing, but we got a while. I've got till December, and I think things are going to turn around. But I just wanted to pull out just a few things to kind of give you an idea of what you can find inside of a 10-K. So for example, this actually, technically I'm looking at Ford's Q2, their second quarter, 2021. And technically this is the 10Q because it's quarterly. We don't have the entire year to say what happened in 2021, but I could easily pull out the 10K for Ford. But this is just the last one that was on there. It was on the website. You can also search for it at the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. But just to give you a quick recent look, because look at last year's stuff's not going to help you today. All right, so they have under their recent development section, this is page 35 of their 10Q, which is similar to the 10K, but we already discussed that. The automotive industry continues to face significant shortage of semiconductors. We've talked about this before, which has presented challenges and production disruptions globally. It goes on and on and on. Based on the overall recovery rate we are seeing for our industry, we continue to believe the automotive semiconductor shortage may not be fully resolved until 2022. For additional information, blah, 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 blah. So we've been talking about this a few times, right? I talked about the chip shortage kind of loosening and kind of we see like an end of the tunnel. Apparently that's going to be 2022 according to Ford. That doesn't mean that's going to be the case across the board. But it does give me an indication that, hey, look, I may want to hold on to it for an entire year, right? Normally I kind of check back in 6 months. Maybe I want to hold on to it for a year. Maybe we'll make that decision in December. But also it gives me an idea of what the company is going through, what struggles may or may not be there, and it's just important to dig into, look at, and understand. Now, the next thing you might be thinking, this one is 77 pages long. What are the most important things that you should look for or should pay attention to in a 10-K or even an annual report? Now, it's going to depend on your strategy, going to depend on your familiarity with it, and for some people it's going to be intimidating, and that is fine. Take it piece by piece, kind of just get familiar and kind of peruse through. So things that I look at, I'm going to just go back to the very top, so to table of contents, so way I can kind of pull out certain sections just to give you an idea of what I tend to look at. Now, my process of looking at these isn't everybody. Some people pay attention to some things more than others. I always go to the financial information. I want to see how much you're making, where you're spending your money, all that type of stuff. I'd like to go towards the risk and recent developments, because I always want to know, what are these companies worried about? What are the things that you're trying to do? and what's on your mind, because that's going to give me a broader picture for other stocks as well. And it's going to give me kind of an expectation of what I should be walking into. So now that I know that the chip shortage is going to be here and it's not going to be alleviated into 2022, that also tells me that any automotive company could also be dealing with the same things. So if I own Tesla and Tesla hadn't been doing as good as I thought it would, maybe it's the exact same thing. Perhaps I will go and compare Tesla's 10K and start to really compare notes and see what's going on in this space. This could be a buying opportunity for me. If I know that they're not going to produce in the way that I think they should because of the chip shortage, maybe I can buy it now. And hopefully in 2022, things will pop the way that I would expect it to, assuming that they are correct in that assumption. These are all things that I would like to know, right? If I'm not looking at the 10K, I might not know that unless you did the 3-step research process and maybe it came up in the headline, which in our case, it did. A lot of times, these news companies will pull out and go and read because they get paid to do it. They'll go and read the 10K cover to cover, pull out some things, put it in the article, right? Now, you can also read for yourself because they may not put the entire paragraph there, right? So they do summaries. You can get the full document for yourself. So those are a few things that I tend to look at. You've got legal proceedings if you want to go and look at that. But if there's a lawsuit against the company, might be something you want to look into. But I really go straight for the financial information. I like to look at that. I like to see, what are you doing? What are you concerned about? What are the business risks? And that's really it. I personally don't go through top to bottom every single thing in any of these forms, but I try to pull out the most important things that I need to know. Is it required for you to do it? No, I do think it is a good practice for you to find out where things are. I think it's a good practice just to be, kind of know your way around a few of them. It's boring, I'm telling you now, but it is important because as an investor, you do own the company and you should act like an owner. You should know what's going on. But I will also tell you that you don't need a degree and you don't need to read it cover to cover to make the absolute best investing decision of all time, right? You got people who got MBAs and CFAs and all of these letters who go through and read cover to cover and invest in the exact same thing you got and y'all get the exact same return. So it is not required, but I do think to understand things a bit more, to be a little more confident in your decisions, it's at least good to peruse and see what's there. Or you follow a 3-step process and read news articles that are based on that. And if you compare 3, 5, 6, 7, you're probably going to hit on enough of the most important points that are in the document. So either way works for you. Do what works most for you, what makes you feel more comfortable, and what can help you make the best decision possible. All right, that's it for me. Make sure you guys click the link below for all the things that could be there. Also, make sure you check out my book because I've got a lot of really great comments and reviews over the last few days. That is From Burning to Blueprint, Rebuilding Black Wall Street After a Century of Silence. I talk a lot about the stock market, talk a lot about what happened in my hometown, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it can really help you to view American history in a better, more enlightened view, but also become a much better investor because I break down a lot of these terms in the book in a way that you might not have seen before. So that link will be below as well. And that's it for me. Talk to you guys later.